Hello, welcome to my review of Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice. The review is going to be done in two parts. I'm going to hopefully review it as a film for the first part and then review it as a comic book adaptation for the second part. Now, proverbially it's a mistake to judge a book by its cover, so you probably shouldn't judge a movie by its title. However, having said that, Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice is a fucking atrocious title. It's actually quite hard to judge this film as a film on its own rights, because it's not really a film. It's a 2.5 hour long trailer for a franchise that DC Comics is desperately trying to set up, so much so you can almost taste it. Unfortunately, you have to make a good film for that to work, and this isn't one. It's a 2.5 hour long trailer. It's a collection of scenes that give good sound bites and nice visuals stuck together in a haphazard fashion. There's no character development at all, I assume because the characters are already in the public consciousness, so they didn't feel like they needed to do any work on them, but they really do. Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck, very good actors, and they do well with what they've got, but they don't have a lot to work with. They have no character arcs, really. Superman is just tortured. Every scene he's tortured. He looks moody, his brows are drawn, and he's got deep, deep thoughts on his mind. That's fine, but that's all there is. There's no more to him, there's nothing more for him to do. Ben Affleck's Batman is just angry. And again, that can work, but there's nothing more to it. The worst for this is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman doesn't belong in this film. She's tacked on as a side thought, and as such there's nothing at all for her to do besides be mysterious and kind of sexy. Now, the story itself is Batman versus Superman. It's a fight between the two of them, but it is so false and so contrived, and it doesn't feel like there's any real reason for them to go at it other than the fact that the title, Batman vs Superman, guarantees a large box office draw. One of my least favourite tropes in cinema and television is when one character is trying to make another understand something, but instead of simply stating the problem and what they should do, they explain it piecemeal in a way that is guaranteed to cause misunderstanding and lead to a fight. It's shoddy writing and it's lazy. In terms of the film's tone, it feels like a wet Wednesday afternoon in Glasgow. It's grim and it's overbearing and it sucks all hope from you. The action sequences, which are basically what everyone's going to go and see the film for, and if not, I'm telling you right now, they are the only things that are worth going to see the film for. For the most part, the action sequences in this tend to be one-on-one fistfights on an epic comic book huge fistfights that level city scale, but still there's not actually a lot of parts to them, and simply upping how destructive each punch is doesn't make the action any more exciting, really, not unless you care about the characters, and in this film we certainly don't. There are some nice sequences. There's the sequence which has been in the trailers where Batman is assaulting a warehouse full of goons, which is bread and butter to Batman. It's what he does, and it's handled quite well. In terms of the character, I didn't like it very much, and in terms of the fighting, I didn't like it very much, but I am very particular about martial arts being displayed on screen. I always have a very, very set idea of how it should look, and in this, it was close enough that I was happy with it, but I certainly didn't think it was the best I've ever seen. Okay, now a little bit about it as a comic book adaptation. Now, before we start, I just want to be clear, I'm not an arsehole, so I know that my interpretation of the characters is my own. I know that after a character has been written for 60 years, there's been many different artists, many different writers, and everyone has their own take on it. So this is just my opinion, you're entitled to your own. So first of all, Superman. I'm not a huge fan of Superman. I've only read a few of the Superman comics. In fact, I've read a few more trade paperbacks than actually reading the comics. However, Superman is the big blue Boy Scout. That's what he is, that's what he's meant to be. And in this film, he's just emo. He is meant to be there to inspire people. And you never really get that sense of this in the film. You get the sense that he's a good person, they're trying to do what's right under difficult circumstances, but you don't see how he would be able to inspire anyone. Now, Batman. I'm a fairly big Batman fan, so this section could go on for about 20 to 30 hours. I'm going to cut it down to just a few key points for me. There's a scene that was in the trailer and it's in the film where Batman mentions that Superman is potentially a threat, and if he is potentially a threat, then they have to take it as an absolute certainty. That is not Batman. That is Amanda Waller. Also, as it's well known, Batman doesn't kill people. For me personally, I view it more as Batman doesn't murder people, but I think that machine gunning down many dozens of people is a little bit out of character. I like Gal Gadot's legs. I like them quite a lot. They're nice to see. I was glad to make their acquaintance. However, the period in time where it was appropriate for a female superhero to wear a miniskirt has been and gone. It's time to knock that on the head. Lex Luthor is meant to be intimidating. He's meant to be very clever, very charismatic, and the sort of person where if you ask him a question, you instantly feel bad for wasting his time. Jesse Eisenberg never comes across like that. He seems like he's auditioning for the part of the Doctor. And to be fair, if someone told me that he was going to replace Peter Capaldi afterwards, I probably wouldn't mind. It would probably be interesting to watch. And finally, Alfred. Now, Jeremy Irons is very different from the Alfred in the comics, and that's not necessarily a problem. Michael Caine was very different from the Alfred in the comics, and it worked very, very well. Unfortunately, the one thing Michael Caine had, which Jeremy Irons doesn't seem to, is that he made you believe that his Alfred cared for Bruce Wayne. Jeremy Irons seems to be playing Alfred as though he just asked for a pay rise and got knocked back. And that's my review for Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. Just don't.